This week's episode of My Hero Academia was absolutely great. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. Most people who watch or read this fight for the very first time, of course, thinks straight away that Midoriya is going to get absolutely destroyed by Todoroki, given that up until this point, the gap between them has been really big. But that wasn't how it turned out at all. The gap is still there, but you can see very easily, especially since Todoroki is only using his ice power, Midoriya is hindered by his lack of control, while Todoroki is restraining himself by avoiding to use his left side, which is his fire side. The fight follows a very painful pattern as we see Midoriya just defend against Todoroki's eyes again and again. One finger at a time gets busted to the point where every finger on his right hand is just unusable. The resolve that Midoriya has is on a completely different level from Todoroki. He wants to win in order to become the best that there is, and Todoroki wants to win without using the fire power in order to prove to his dad that his fire isn't something that he actually needs in order to win. He wants to live on as a hero using only the power that he inherited from his mother, which is his ice power. This episode did show us a completely different side of Midoriya, because while he has a strong resolve to win, he did go pretty damn far with the hopes of winning. I think it was the concrete hero, which is like the referee or something. He mentioned that Midoriya is probably counting on Recovery Girl to heal him up, and that's why he's being very reckless with his quirk. If not for that, he wouldn't be doing anything like this at all and would have lost the match very early on. After he's done using his fingers, however, Midoriya steps up his game a little, and this is where shit gets interesting. He unleashes a shockwave from his whole arm, prompting Todoroki to stay the fuck away. But I mean, this is a match of the sports festival, so he's not just going to obey Midoriya's empty threat, especially given that Todoroki's body is mostly unharmed, while Midoriya has taken great amounts of damage from his own recklessness. One thing that we learned from Bakugo in this episode is that quirks function as any other bodily function, which means it takes a toll on your endurance if you overuse your quirk. Meaning that if you just keep hammering like Midoriya is without actually going for a straight win, it becomes a battle of who could keep standing at the very end. But let's talk about the backstory, because I think that was the greatest part about this episode. Todoroki's childhood was revealed, and we got to see just why Todoroki is the way he is, why he hates his father, and even why he has that horrible burn mark on his face. It turns out that his parents engaged in what's known as a Quark Marriage, which is basically something that you do in order to make sure your children become as powerful as possible by mixing the quirks of your parents. Todoroki's father, Endeavor, is, as we all know, at this point an absolute a-hole, and this applies in more than just one way. He doesn't just push his son mentally, he'd go as far as to pretty much kick his ass if he doesn't obey, and even during the flashback he smacked Todoroki's mother. I mean, by this alone you can probably understand why he would despise his own father, right? Yeah, and the worst part is that that wasn't even what ignited his hatred for his dad. His mother at some point lost hope in Endeavor to such an extreme that she even went as far as to pour boiling water on Todoroki's face as a little kid, because his left side reminded her too much of his father. She cracked like an egg, and this is of course something that resulted in his mother getting taken away to some institute, I guess, because yeah, she was deemed like crazy or whatever. It was at this point that Todoroki started to truly hate his father and absolutely refused to use his left side in battle. Because it's quite important to understand that he never rejected his left side entirely, only to use it in battle. That's something that matters a lot, since we have seen him use his heat a few times throughout the series, but it's never been used in a fight. It's been after fights, mostly melting the ice that he has created and such, like in the fight with Zero. Okay, so at the end of the episode we get to the climax of his and Midoriya's fight, obviously, and Midoriya actually pushes Todoroki to the point where he shouts at the top of his lungs that the power of Todoroki's left side isn't his father's, it is his own power. After realizing that the fight isn't getting anywhere, Todoroki snaps out of this hatred for his dad, and as you can probably imagine, Todoroki erupts with fire as his left side is unleashed for the first time in who knows how long. This was the very first time that we as viewers got to see the true nature of Todoroki's power. His power against Zero may have looked really fucking strong, but what he did against Midoriya in this episode was on a completely different level. battle, to the point where two pro heroes pretty much had to try and intervene in the battle. Had Midoriya's full power smash and Todoroki's fire and ice attack clash without the concrete hero creating like a fuck ton of barriers between them, there's a good chance that one of them, most likely Midoriya, would have like died. Because we do see that even with those barriers, Midoriya ends up out of bounds, resulting in him losing the match. He's even unconscious. I don't really think anyone expected Midoriya to actually win this fight. I mean, at this point in the series, the gap between them is just too big. Until Midoriya learns how to control his power a bit more, that gap will remain, and with that, I think only 2 matches remain in this arc. There's only like 2 episodes left in this arc, as I said, and yeah, we'll be jumping into the next arc after that, which by the way is an absolutely fantastic arc in more than just one way, but I will not be saying anything more than that. Well, I'll be ending off the video here. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. And as always, if you did, please like this video if you enjoyed and subscribe if you're new to my channel. This has been your favorite host, Permit. I'll see you soon.